Alright, so welcome to Empty Mountain creative cooking video session. As you can see, I've used a baking pan to cook up some cauliflower for this dish that I'm working on. I'm going to turn this down. Okay, so prior to moving out here in the woods, we've used this barbecue grill pretty much solely for grilling hamburgers and hot dogs. Both meat-based and vegetarian-based hamburgers and hot dogs. But now that we're out here and I do not have a oven, I'm starting to kind of experiment with using the barbecue to do some other things. Vegetables are pretty easy, so that, you know, like using it for that. But this morning my experiment was doing an egg bake in the barbecue, and it worked super good. The bottom kind of got charred, so I think next time I'll try to put like a baking pan underneath it, like a diffuser. But, I mean, it's essentially an oven, but you've got the, you know, of course the flames, the heat underneath more readily and accessible. So, anyway, but I'm doing some experimenting, which I really enjoy doing, and I feel like it's one of Mike and I's skill sets in moving out here is that we're both pretty creative thinkers. We'd like to think outside of the box, and his more applies to the building realm, which is great, and mine applies more to like creative endeavors and also the logistics of living and household tending. So I really like thinking creatively. So I've been doing some experimenting there. And today, what's today? June 3rd. Today I also set up an outdoor stove because now we have a couple of stoves. And I'm just going to let this live outside so that when it's hot out, I'll cook dinner outside so as not to add more heat to the inside of the cabin. And just recently, last week, we started getting higher temperatures in the 80s and even low 90s, and so it's been getting hot here. And so we've been doing some adjustments for heat, although right now it's like sweater weather. It was like 32 degrees this morning out, so we're back down into cooler temperatures at the moment. But something awesome that we also just installed is this roller shade. I don't know if I can do it one-handed, but anyway, this rolls down and this whole shade comes down and blocks, this is south facing. So during certain times of day when it's really hot out, this will help keep the sun out, and it's worked awesome. We're so happy with it. It lets the light through but not the heat, and this is, yeah, it just makes this more hang-outable during the peak heat hours of the day without the, you know, radiant or the, you know, the direct sun coming down. And so right now I'm doing some cooking. Mike's out working on the guest hut. I think he's working on the porch. And I'm just taking you around with me as I do some stuff. Yeah, it's chilly out right now, so I don't mind cooking inside. And, you know, these stoves, these cook stoves, these Coleman Camp stoves, the propane bottles, you know, they say not to use them inside, so I just want to kind of put that caveat out. We always crack this window when I cook. And then additionally we have a carbon monoxide tester inside the cabin. So if there was any sort of propane leak or something, I mean, our tester would catch that. So, and we've been using this inside, no problem. So I feel safe and confident using this indoors, even though it says not to. And if you've been following along too, you know that we've gotten an adapter so we fill these green bottles, which also you're not supposed to do, quote unquote. But man, it just saves, you know, so much waste, of course, and then also just way cheaper. So we just fill up large 20-pound propane tanks, and we fill these from that. It's awesome. Works so good. So right now I'm trying out a dish I haven't made for a while, from this book, Love Real Food. It's got some really good recipes in it. So this is one I'm making right now, although I'm not a huge fan of spaghetti noodles, so I'm using bow tie pasta. But anyway, so I'm making some food and you know, living the life out here in the woods. So next up, after the cauliflower, I'm gonna bake this kale inside the barbecue, also using it like an oven. I can't imagine why it wouldn't work just like the other vegetables, but I want to get this crispy, so you need to crisp up the kale in the oven. So I'm going to try that out. That'll be an experiment, see how that goes. And the cauliflower kale pasta plus oil, lemon, butter, garlic, Parmesan. So super good. What else? I felt like I was going to cover something else. Well, in any case, we're experimenting out here in the woods. We're cooking, you know, we're doing all sorts of stuff. And today, a little cloudy, not pulling a whole lot of sun juice in through the PV panels, but maybe enough to kind of limp through the day, or the night rather. Mike recently installed a new pole on our cell booster antenna. Now we have a metal pole instead of a square wooden pole, and this round metal pole suits it way better. And he rigged up that cool system there. We've been having some signal issues out here in the woods lately, and gosh, it's an ongoing challenge because the booster is so high powered. It's very finicky. You really have to dial in and take the time to dial in the antenna right, because we're just on the cusp of getting enough signal through this high powered booster. But typically we get pretty good service and also enough 4G to hotspot to our computers for and phones for internet. But we've been having some issues, and we think it's on the service provider's end of things, which is interesting because usually there's other issues that are tech stuff that we need to figure out here, but lately it's been a service provider issue. So anyway, so we've been kind of going in and out over the last few days of having service and then just having it completely, having nothing. And we have, of course, discussed, you know, getting satellite internet, getting a dishy. But the thing is, from my very limited understanding, so it would need to face south, which is that away. And we'd probably need to do a fair amount of prep, as in take out a lot of these trees. Because apparently dishy needs to track the sky in a swath and, you know, to be able to get signal. So we'd have to not only do site prep, but, you know, it also needs electricity. So we'd have to run it from the cabin, and there's just a lot of logistics that we would need to figure out and learn about to get satellite internet, because people ask us about it all the time, and it's like, well, it's just not that simple for where we live with all the trees and stuff, just to set up satellite internet. So right, you know, we've opted for the booster. Right now we don't have an extra monthly bill because it just operates on our cell phones. We're already paying those. So it's nice not having an extra monthly bill. But it's also pretty glitchy, and right now it's kind of not working at all, so it's not great. But in any case, I can smell cauliflower cooking. We should go check on the water. Alright, well, thanks for tuning in. bare bones kitchen. I am slowly pulling out one item of our cooking stuff at a time that's in our large metal container outside, our storage container. All of our other kitchen stuff is in there until we get like you know, shelves and cabinets and stuff in here, which will be a little while. But today I did just hang this, so I've got one more thing in here. And side note, Mike is a really big fan of screws with the star heads on them. So he just exclusively buys those, which means we don't really have any screws that have like Phillips or flathead, because they're inferior, apparently. So I don't know about these things. I trust his judgment. But that also means that, like, I can't use my Leatherman to put in any screws that we have around. So, like, that's in really shoddy right now, like, with what I could get my Leatherman to bite in on the square, on the star bit, or on the square head, the star head of the screw. So I'm gonna have to go out to the job site / the guest hut and borrow a drill to get that in a little bit more proper, because there's a good chance this won't last super long. I got it in a little bit, but it might be a fragile situation. Alright, well, thanks for tuning in, following my shenanigans of cooking, my experiments. I'll see y'all soon.